The process of restoration. As we live by the Spirit, we are to help our fellow Christians who are in bondage to works of the flesh to experience true freedom in Christ. Here's Gene to explain.
And here he deals with a very significant issue which was very prevalent in the Galatian churches. Brothers, sisters, if someone is caught in any wrongdoing, and there when he says caught in any wrongdoing, he is saying enslaved, trapped. We might use a common concept, addicted, trapped. You, plural, who are spiritual, and it's not an accident that he's just defined what it means to manifest the fruit of the Spirit. So he's contrasting those who are living according to the flesh with those who are living according to the Spirit, and he's saying this is a task of restoration. That's for a person who's living in the Spirit. Don't try to take the splinter out of your brother's eye when you got a beam in your own. It's dangerous. You who are spiritual should restore such an individual, such a person, with a gentle spirit, a humble spirit, and being careful, watch out for yourselves so you won't be tempted also. Now there's a reason, you see, that Paul says that this is a task for more than one person. First of all, it takes discernment. It takes wisdom. But secondly, it's dangerous to get involved with an individual one-on-one, particularly if you've had a problem like them. Because you can be tempted to go right back into that sin yourself. I talked with a man one day who tried to help a guy who was a drug addict. But he was a drug addict himself at one point. Went to try to help the guy, and he reverted back to drugs. See, Paul warned against that. This is why it's a task for more than one person who is spiritual. And that's another thing, you know, any time that I'm involved in a situation like this, I've said to those who are involved, boy, let's look at our own hearts here. Let's make sure that we don't have sin in our own lives that we haven't confessed, and we need to be walking in the Spirit in order to take on this task. And then he says, carry one another's burdens, and this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. What is the law of Christ? Love one another as I've loved you. Because when you do that, all the law is fulfilled. And Paul stated that very clearly in Romans chapter 13. In 9 and 10, he generalizes. He says, so we must not get tired of doing good. He's generalizing now to all believers. For we will reap at the proper time if we don't give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, we must work for the good of all, especially for those who belong to the household of faith. I raise a question here. How do Paul's instructions to help people who are entrapped in sin relate to the contemporary process we often call an intervention? Have you ever seen the documentary called Intervention? For the most part, it's done by non-Christians. The fact is, it works in many instances because they're following a biblical principle. Because what we've seen here in Galatians is biblical intervention. And we've seen that work with alcoholics, drug addicts, sex addicts, people who are trapped. And they're set free through an intervention.